welcome to another episode of the Two Mortgage Guys podcast. My name is John Jonker, and I am here as your host today with a really, really special guest, Megan Miller, as the digital marketing manager from the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce is here. And I got to tell you, I know that's a really big title and a lot of things to say right in a row, but she's like one of the most interesting people in the world. We might put her on a Dos Equis commercial. So that being said, let's get a nice segue into here. Everybody, welcome Megan aboard the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We are, seriously, I am stoked to have you here because I got to know you kind of in like the funniest way. I still think it's really funny because I should have just called the chamber and basically been like, hey, I'm interested in your stuff. And instead I'm like social media, Instagramming you like, so, this and that. And you're like, who's this creepy guy from a mortgage company trying to link up on our account right now? And I had no idea it was you. I didn't know who I was contacting. And I'm just trying to figure out how to get a hold of the chamber. And I apparently thought the easiest way was to message through Instagram. So, thank you for being patient with me and kind and realizing that there was more behind the surface of this weird person contacting you on Instagram.
Okay, first of all, I didn't think you were creepy or weird.
I would have if I were you.
I honestly, though, was like, wait, who is this person?
Yeah.
And then I had to go to membership. I go, are they a member? Like, should I know who these people are? And so I felt like I had to get my gears and know, like, where are you coming from? And then I brought it to our CEO, Emily, at the time. And I was like, hey, how, because it was still within my 90 days of being there. So I was kind of like, hey, how should I respond to this?
Yeah.
And she had to go, they're not asking Megan Miller for marketing information. They're asking the chamber. So just defer them to membership and we'll go from there. And I was like, okay, great. And it's just kind of funny because I was like, what do I do?
And did she tell you how funny it was, who it was that you were dealing with?
Well, I guess we kind of, Sydney loves to do some digging. So we were kind of trying to figure out, okay, who is this person and what are they doing? And so, yeah, we did a little bit of an investigation to just give ourselves some parameters. And, but yeah, no, we eventually were like, okay, it's the Two Mortgage Guys.
Well, the reason I was laughing about it, I don't know if you know this to this day. I know Brooke knows this, but Emily's my cousin.
And that was the thing.
So that's why I think it's hilarious. You had to come to her with this weirdo, and Emily's looking at it like, that's my cousin.
I think it was Sydney who told me that Emily's maiden name was Jonkers or something. Like, who's this PI over here?
Yeah.
Sydney, like, figuring all this stuff out.
Well, Sydney used to go to school with me.
And so there, yeah.
Small world stuff, right?
Small degrees of separation. Like,
absolutely.
Everywhere.
Yeah, the 6 degree of separation thing's pretty interesting. That's another topic for another podcast. But we could do this all day. This is why I love having you here. Because it's really easy to talk to you. And that's one of the beautiful things about coming on is when we have podcasts, people want to be able to relate to somebody, right? And that's actually a really beautiful thing for you to be capable of doing, considering when you think of a lot of like digital marketing managers, it's usually the person behind the computer that isn't socializing a whole lot, yet you make it look easy on both ends of the spectrum. So
thank you.
Kudos to you. If you haven't heard it yet, you're going to hear it from me maybe a couple times during this podcast. This is the Renaissance woman. She's capable of doing anything and everything you need at any point and doing it well. We'll go a little bit into your history later, but just explain to us a little bit of what you do for the chamber first. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, perfect. So digital marketing manager, I'm in charge of everything digital when it comes to website, SEO optimization, social media, on all the platforms that we can. Right. And then also on our website, promoting events and making sure that everyone's together. From events, we also have programs. So I put together all the programs as well and all the ads and design that, send it to print, have our ambassadors come in, coordinate them, stapling and putting those together and getting those out there. So even though it's digital marketing manager, it's all marketing because you have to go digital before you go to print.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know, it's funny, like you hear a lot of that kind of stuff and you see a lot of social media advertising and stuff, but yours is always so stinking professional and it's up quick.
Well,
like I will come from an event, get home finally, but usually it's like maybe an hour in between that spread, and I'll come home and there's all these posts on Instagram and Facebook and everything already rocking, and it looks like you spent hours doing it, and it's done and polished and beautiful and wonderful as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's a big deal though because so I've had the really beautiful luxury of having Brooke in here, and getting to hear about what the Temecula Chamber really wants to prioritize, right? Well, you cannot really successfully prioritize that in this day and age without proper marketing. Like, you got to have somebody that can convey the message to the masses.
Right.
And you do that really well. And I kind of wanted to pick your brain on that a little bit because, like, someone who does a lot of social media marketing for myself, like, I have my own little approaches and things that I think illuminate what people need to see in me, right? But the reality is, I know I could probably still do a better job because that's not my niche.
We all can do a better job.
Well, 100%.
On everything.
And that's why I pick James's brain all the time, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he's my marketing guy. But at the same time, everyone's got their own spin on it, and you have a really great way of, like, every time I watch one of your ads, I'm like, the chamber just kind of opens its doors a little bit to us more.
Oh.
Like, we just experience a little bit more of the chamber. So how do you do that? Well, like, what's your approach? What do you think about when you're putting things together?
Well, I go with my gut. I'm a gut thinker.
Sure.
Gut, and then heart, and then head. Kind of in that order. So with my gut, it goes with what feels right.
Okay.
And then I also go on emotions of like, what emotion am I trying to portray to our audience? Are we professional? Which almost every time we are professional. But we also like to have fun.
Yeah.
There's also sincerity behind it as well.
Yep.
And then to show people that, yes, we're professional, we have a good time, and what the chamber's all about. Someone said to me the other day, it's really hard to walk into the chamber and be upset because everyone here enjoys their time, like here, and it's just a really good atmosphere. And so I want to carry that into our social media and just have fun doing it. I enjoy doing it, and I also like capturing lots of moments. So my trick is always have a camera rolling. You never know what you're going to capture.
Yeah, that's actually a really, I think, fantastic way to look at it. And you see a lot more, ironically, a lot more like documentaries and even like backstage footage of like TV shows and movies that have been doing that now because there's so much value in kind of catching that day-to-day that we take for granted.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think previously, especially with marketing, we always were like, what's the big thing that's going to hook, line, and, you know, bring somebody in and give us the sale, right? The reality is everybody markets now, like everybody. And I mean, you guys aren't selling a product. You're literally helping businesses be business, you know? And you're doing it in a way that really nobody else does for like just complimentary services most of the time. And for you to be able to take that to the level that you do, it does show that you look for that kind of emotional component, that sentiment that shows people that, you know, they're linking to something different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's a really valuable asset that you bring to the chamber, and I totally concur with you. Every time I come to the chamber, I leave smiling. Because you guys are all fun. All of you. Yeah, it's a blast. Like, we were just naming people right before we started recording, but, like, I mean, even the way that you guys found out who I was and who was creeping on the chamber, as I call it, like, it was fun. And even when Sydney first introduced me, she's like, do you remember me? And I'm like, no. Because I knew her brother, but she was so much younger at that time, and, you know, she's a full-grown woman now, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, now I remember who you are. But, you know, it was just a really fun atmosphere to come in and feel instantly like family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it's not just because I knew some of you randomly and stuff. It's because that's how you guys invest your time. And a lot of that's, again, through your marketing. You have found the ability to balance bringing in kind of the message of what the chamber wants to convey while linking people emotionally to what you guys find important.
Thank you. Yeah. My biggest question is, who cares? Seriously.
No, it's a great question. I love it because it's so simple.
If you see something and you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you can answer that question in the first 3 seconds, you captured them, you got them, so give them value after that.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? That's, gosh, I'm going to keep just blasting you with these positive things because
thanks.
That's a really important way to look at life, right? We spend too much time self-focused. And what you're doing with the chamber is saying, okay, so how do we care about somebody else? Because that's what the who cares kind of means. That's why I laugh, because it's really an open-ended question, and there's so many different things, and it also helps you with the messages too, where it's like, am I wasting people's time? Like, who cares about this? But then you go to the other end of the spectrum where you're like, who should we be showing care for, right?
Right.
So that's really cool. I like that. That's a really great way to start things. And coming from somebody like a business that like ourselves, where we really have to kind of imagine where people are coming from with their homes, it's really neat to see that in a cityscape that you're building. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So being that you're the marketing manager, I'm sure that you're always, digital marketing manager. Can't forget the digital. But you're always savvy to what's going on, right? So are there any major events we should know about with the chamber that are coming up? Anything that you'd love to kind of give a little toot for? Anything, sneak peeks?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have the Valley Young Professionals Cornhole Tournament at South Coast Winery.
I'm excited about that.
Yes, that's going to be happening on the 30th of September.
Yeah.
and it's at 4 o'clock. We are sold out of sponsorships, but we do have the spectator passes available, and it is always a good time. It's the biggest event for Valley Young Professionals, and it's good for, I mean, you can show up even if you're not a young professional.
Yep.
You just need a reverse chaperone. So bring someone who's between the age of 21 and 40.
Yeah. And that happens all the time, too. I mean, sorry to interrupt real quick, to vindicate that, because I think a lot of times when people hear that, they feel like it's silly, but every event I go to, people do that, and they love it. Like, it's so much fun. It's like that Sadie Hawkins dance feel, like that reverse, let's bring somebody else and reward them, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's also like bring the next generation into the professional realm and show them it's not scary to be around people who either just started a business or they're like a legacy partner and they've been with the chamber, or they've been established for more than 20 years.
That's right.
So it can be intimidating, and so that's where VYP comes in, and our ambassadors. Ambassadors, their job and their goal is to make new people or even continuing members to feel welcome and that they belong, because they do. That's
phenomenal. I love it. So we have all that. By the way, I'm stoked about the cornhole. I have not gotten to do that event yet. And I have literally not run into anyone that hasn't spoken excitedly about it. And I've even run into other people that I didn't know and knew anything about it, brought it up to them to tell them, and they're like, oh yeah, you're behind the times. This is the coolest event all year. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, people love this thing. It's awesome. So aside from that coming up, what else you got? You got anything else that we need to know about?
Yeah, State of the City. So State of the City, last year it was virtual. It tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. I mean, a lot of it. Because the city of Temecula does such a great job.
They do.
Curating the content for that, getting the information out. Mayor Marianne Edwards is going to be addressing this year, and it will be at Pechanga October 14th from 7 to 9:30 in the morning. So it's early bird special. And then after that, we will have the Ultimate Business Mixer and Expo, and that's going to be outside at Vail headquarters, which is low-key my favorite place in Temecula.
We just talked about it. Me too, man. Me too.
It's so great. There's so many different things to do there. You're supporting local. You're outside. It's dog-friendly. It's family-friendly. You got your beer garden, your cocktail bar, I can go on and on and on. There's so much there.
It's like the best hidden gem in Temecula that's not really hidden. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. If you go to Kohl's, you'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so weird. Like, it is. It's like right between Kohl's and Walmart, and then you're like in this small little village of awesomeness.
Yeah. They've been developing it, though, over years and years and years. And I mean, like, where all the restaurants were, do you remember what that was before?
I actually don't.
It's an antique shop.
Oh, man. I've been in this area for so long, I didn't even remember that.
It was an antique store, and it was just kind of like, again, who cares? No offense, but like, what else can we use this building for? And they did it right. They put a food court in there, and it brings people and their families.
Well, and let's be honest, one thing that statistically I think I've seen a lot of is Temeculans like to eat.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we do. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I just like bringing that up because that's actually kind of a nice spin about our community. And the reason I like bringing it up is I think a lot of times we just think about the food aspect, but I really think the reason that people love to eat in Temecula, sure, it's the food, but I think it's because we're so community driven.
Oh, yeah.
There's something, food is communal. That's what you do. You eat together.
Food is love.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then it always brings back the nostalgia of the dinner table with the family and everything. So when you have that kind of pocketed everywhere, and Vail Ranch does a great job of bringing that up. I feel like we're doing like a special for them now. But,
right, hey.
But yeah, I mean, it gives you kind of that like old-timey, like let's go back and do this as a family kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's really cool. I love that that's falling right with the State of the City address too, because it's almost like a perfect like segue from something like that. So that's great. Any other special events you want to bring up now, or we
I think we're pretty much caught up.
Okay.
Member appreciation is going to happen a little bit later this year, so members can look forward to that. We have a lot in store for them. Nice
little sneak peek there. I like that. Yeah, and honestly, guys, we'll put all this stuff on the podcast and also on YouTube, so you can link on it. But definitely always check out the Temecula Valley Chamber website. I'm on there all the time. I'm like a little hawk, looking for the events as they pop up. Super organized, super easy to get on there and register and to get into events. And if you're sitting on the fence for some reason about not joining the chamber or joining it, obviously I'm trying to get you to join it by having her here. But I would also recommend that you go to some of these events, because you can go without being a member, register for them, see what it's about, and you'll get to see that the proof's in the pudding.
Especially for that business mixer that's coming up on October 20th. It's open to the public. So you don't have to register to show up. You just show up. If you have friendly dogs and children, bring them and enjoy yourselves. And that's what it's really all about, is enjoying the community and the place that we live in and supporting local business.
That's super cool. How often do you hear a city put on a business mixer that's not only free but it's open to family, right? That's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love Temecula. I mean, I've lived here for about 5 years in Temecula.
Okay.
And I really don't want to leave.
Understood. And I take that as a big compliment for the city because, like I said, you're the most interesting woman alive. You're my Renaissance woman. And just to give a little history to that now and give some people's so I'm not just doing an inside joke they don't understand.
Right.
So we're going to talk about your resume here. Former wild animal trainer. Am I allowed to say from where?
I mean, sure. I'm from lots of different zoos.
Okay.
I got my accreditation from the Exotic Animal Training and Management Facility at America's Teaching Zoo in Moore Park.
Very
So
cool.
that was a 2-year vocational program that I did back in 2011 to 2013.
Wow. Very cool. And honestly, I think that one is the one I always lead off with and I'm so excited about because I'm a huge, I watch animal documentaries like it's a sitcom. I binge them all the time. You can totally ask my wife. It's so funny. And it's something that even at the youngest of ages, my son was sitting on my lap and watching all these animals with me and stuff. It's a tradition me and my dad carried on.
Aww.
Love wildlife, love all that stuff. And so meeting somebody that's been in it, literally one of my favorite pastimes to do with my son is go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Even at the youngest of ages, because there was a point where I was kind of working from home a little bit more to help out, and when we would want a day out, we had passes to the zoo. So we'd go down there, me and my son would just literally spend hours staring at the elephants. It's his favorite animal still.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And which is great because those are my favorite animals too, and I'm like, all right, pick the right one.
Yeah. We're the same string.
Yeah, but then to top it off, this is why the Renaissance stuff's coming in. We got digital marketing manager for the Temecula Valley Chamber. We've got live, let me see if I can say this right, live portrait paintings for basically weddings and other events, major events that people have. I didn't even know people still did that.
Oh.
I still think it's one of the coolest things ever because I'm a big history buff, and that's how a lot of this stuff was recorded.
Oh, yeah.
And you're over here literally doing it for someone's wedding and doing it well. I've seen some of the work. It is phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so the live wedding painting, especially after we're kind of coming out of the COVID slump and everything, weddings and events are back on.
Wow.
I am getting flooded with requests. 4 times as much as I was even before COVID for people. And it's really becoming very popular. And pretty much I show up to a wedding and they can have a package that's 4 hours, 6 hours, just depends on what size canvas they want. And I show up and I just start sketching. And then I'll start painting the scene. First dance, first kiss, ceremony, you name it. And then by the end of the night, the painting is finished. They can take it home with them. And it's a way to capture their day in paint forever.
That is so special. I really mean that because I really think it's such a lost, for lack of a better pun, art in our society nowadays. And I really would love to see more of that kind of stuff come back and kind of re-stretch that side of modern day culture's intellect. There's not enough of these kind of fine arts being out there and people really getting to appreciate them. And I think I'm a little bit more keen to it because my wife likes to draw and paint. And so when I told her you did that kind of stuff, she's like, oh, that's super cool, And so getting to see how that manifests in people and how that comes out is just beautiful. And so you getting to do that and then also do that for someone else's special day.
Oh, yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And then I love tying my love for wildlife and art together.
I believe it.
Because I'd love to share with you guys and invite you guys.
Sure.
On October 1st, we're going to have a reception at the Merc. And I've been waiting 2 years to have my show in the Merc in Old Town Temecula. And it's all paintings that I've done depicting wildlife that are on the edge of extinction.
No way.
And then each painting has a benefactor. So if you purchase a print or the actual original, then a % of proceeds will go to an organization that has feet on the ground to help save that animal or the community and habitat that animal lives in.
Wow. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
How long will it be in there?
A month. The whole month of October.
Oh, man. Guys, I mean, just do it. I don't even need to resell all of it. That is so cool. How often do you get to hear from the artists themselves and an artist that's literally giving back to a cause of some wonderful sort. And I think that's super cool that it's literally tied into something that you've done previously.
Oh, yeah.
So the passion is going to be fully into the art. you can count on me being there.
Hey,
I'm going to bring the whole family.
I love it. And there's going to be more artists because it's Art Off the Walls, which is hosted by City of Temecula. Thank you, City of Temecula.
Thank you again.
Every first Friday of the month, they host Art Off the Walls. Okay. They do a reception for the artist that's sitting in the front where the Merc is, right in that reception area. They'll have live music, and then they'll have 20 other or more various artists in the courtyard, weather permitting. So it supports all local artists. They do it for free. I do not have to pay a dime to participate in this, and it's all because the city wants to support local artists and our community.
That's tremendous, man. I mean, seriously, when it's funny because you don't expect to hear that when we just talked about how, like, forward-centric the chamber and the city were about business, right? And usually when you think business, it's going to clash with art at some point because people just tend to kind of think that one kind of pushes the other, and I think that's wrong. I think people don't realize how much people in business really express themselves through art.
Oh, yeah.
And how much art can really make business look beautiful. And there's a lot of really interesting ties there for that. And to be able to do that as a city, but for you to be able to kind of have your hand in like a little bit of everything like that, and to be able to express that way is, I think, a really wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. So, very cool. I didn't even know any of this. That's hence the legit surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'm excited to be able to celebrate that with you. So thank you for letting us know and our audience, but and as a person that I'm stoked to know because I'd love to come support that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I told you, she's the most interesting person in the world. I don't know why I'm shouting at you guys. I'm sorry. So from there, then we have our final stop with your significant other, as it were, Gordon and you, and who actually we just had on the show recently. And we're broadcasting him everywhere for Birdside Virtual Reality Projects, which is a project that I am, like, he probably told you, I'm a little obsessed with because I'm a big tech nerd. And so I remember, like, we met at a coffee shop, and I think we spent more time nerding out than we talked about anything important. It was fantastic.
Then that was important.
Agreed. But as far as what it was supposed to accomplish, maybe less important than it should have been.
Not goal-oriented there. But
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, he's a wonderful guy. I don't have to tell you that. Obviously, you like him for a reason. But you guys have this really tremendous project together, and it is fantastic work. I mean, for anybody who missed that episode, I'm going to fill you in real quick. Essentially, it's virtual reality done in a way that has been never done before. It's not the video game you expect it to be. It's essentially, how can we illuminate your home? How can we illuminate your business? How can we illuminate your world in a way where people can go onto a website and actually feel like they've been there even when they haven't been? And that's huge, especially when we're talking about for my engagement, because I got realtors and things all the time that are trying to show homes, and if they're on the East Coast trying to show someone in the West Coast, and that person can click and feel like they literally entered a house and see all the amenities and everything.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, tremendous.
And that's where the emotion gets injected in there. If they can feel that emotion and emulate as if they were there and fall in love with the place before they get there, you've got them. Oh,
absolutely. And you know, that's a beautiful thing in and of itself, but it's also, because I mean, that's kind of more from like the business and sales approach, but even knowing you two and your guys' goals, I know you guys so much want people just to really be able to experience the thing that they want to appreciate.
Yeah.
And so you guys open a door that no one else really is opening right now. There's very seldom that is happening, you know? And biggest project that I heard that you guys did, and you can verify this for everybody right now, you guys did this virtual reality tour for the entire San Diego Zoo, right?
We did.
That is phenomenal. Is there like a website? Is it their website that we can go to and look this up?
Oh, it's ours. Yeah, in case studies. You can go on our website and you can explore all the different venues that they have there. And I was able to be fortunate enough to volunteer and work a little bit with the San Diego Zoo when I was a zookeeper.
Yeah.
And so your Rolodex, you never know where a conversation's going to go or pick up again. So I kind of went back into my files and I go, I'm going to contact them and see if they're interested in this. And it bloomed into a beautiful partnership.
That is awesome. And speaking of zoos, I mean, I just told you how important it is to me. We're there all the time. And to hear that you guys got to partner with the zoo we're at all the time is fantastic. And honestly, again, just even your response there just illuminates kind of the difference between you and most digital marketing managers and digital marketers out there is it's relational to you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's big. I mean, most people, it's like, how do I reach a target audience? How do I reach this? Or how do I get here? They're looking for a way to make an impact, but in a very like kind of third party sort of way.
Mm.
Yours is like, how do I find you? And I love that. I love that about you. That's great. So, any other exciting things on the front? Like, I feel like if I were to ask you that there's always something that you got to be doing that's new and exciting that I don't know about. Obviously, the art project was big. Anything going on for Birdside or for your painting that we need to know about or anything like that?
Well, Birdside, we recently launched a new website, and we have 4 services that are our main, what I like to call bread and butter, and what we really enjoy doing. And so Lander, Render, XR, and VR. And so those are the 4. If you go to our birdsidevr.com, you can go ahead and click on them and find them, see case studies, and play with them. And really, anything is possible when it comes to virtual reality, and we work with people all over the world. If we can't figure out something immediately, we can find someone who can, and solve a problem, or just be creative and have fun doing it. So those are the things that I love doing. But aside from just having a new website, we also have launched a new VR blog. So it's a virtual reality travel blog.
Awesome.
And so whenever Gordon, we are very fortunate to be able to go to all these different places and enjoy ourselves. You live once, or at least you can remember, this one lifetime that we have. And so for us, we want to share that with people. When my sister got married in August in Yosemite, we made a point to stop in between points so that we can explore Visalia. And then when we were in Yosemite, we 3D'd mapped every room that we stayed in on our way there and on our way back. And then we're starting to push out blogs so that people can experience what we did. They can see it in a different light. It'll help the businesses and the hotels and the accommodations that we stay in to get more people to come and experience it. And also just to normalize virtual reality, because some people can be very intimidated by it. Where it's like, I don't know, or, I'm too old, I don't get it. Or, I'm done hearing that. Virtual reality is here, and it's here to stay. And I mean, the generations that are coming up behind us, they're in it. They're doing it right now. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a whole different world. I mean, and it's funny because you think about how each generation kind of cascades, right? Like when cell phones first came out, like people were picking them up and clunky with them, trying to figure them out. And you give it, my kid, he's just turning 5, and he can pick up my phone and do everything on it just as good as I can, if not better. And he's just starting with it,
Yep.
And the product that you guys have, it's really cool because, so we just had Gordon on, and he let us know that the site was coming out. Now we get to have you afterwards, and it's already out.
Yay.
Plus you brought up the blog, which I actually didn't know about.
Oh.
So really cool stuff. And I love that we kind of get to multi-touch for you, because we were touching about the chamber, we're talking about small business. But the nice thing about it, too, is when you think about somebody that's a digital marketing manager, when they're actually somebody that actually runs business, it's more relatable. Because a lot of times marketing managers, too, they're coming from a perspective of, the reason it's a third-party perspective is they don't themselves understand what it takes to run the business or to be the client base for that business. And so when you have both realms of that spectrum, it comes out that way because it's a full picture that you're giving people. And that's important. And that's another hats off to you, because that's not easy to find nowadays, to find someone that essentially has, pardon the expression, but essentially raised the cow, milked the cow, and, eventually processed the cow. Because at that, there's this kind of the idea that you were there from start to finish. And to be able to market a business at that totality is big. And so the reason I want to send that out to everybody that's listening to the podcast right now is you're going to have a lot of contact information for her, where it's Birdseye, whether it's her, what is the name of your painting company, actually?
Miss Megan's Studio.
Miss Megan's Studio. I think that's the first time I've asked you that, because I think I get so taken by what you do, I forgot to ask what it was called.
It's okay. Thank you for asking. No.
Yeah, Miss Megan's Studio. It's a beautiful name for it, by the way. And then also you got the Temecula Chamber, so you can find her almost anywhere. And clearly you can go on Instagram and do what I did, which is the backwards way to do it.
That works.
But you can do it that way too. She apparently is patient enough for it. But you're going to be able to find her any of these ways and ask her questions. And I got to tell you something. If you want to do anything well in life, you got to be willing to ask questions.
Oh, yes. I love questions.
Yeah.
And if I don't know the answer, I actually get more excited, because then it's an opportunity to learn something.
100%. Well, and that's what I get from you, because I came at you with questions, and everybody heard the process. You went to a whole chain of women in there trying to figure it out. Happened to get lucky there was a family member in there for you. But, but that's the way that you work. It's not like there's no frontery, there's no emotional what's this person coming from? It's like, oh, it's a question. Let's get an answer. And you come at people with the same thing. It's like, I got a question. How do we answer that? And that's something that we need in this world right now. We need a little bit more question and answer, and a little more collaboration, and a lot less, like emotional, like, well, what did they mean by that? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's what I call the inner primate. Control your inner primate. It's the emotional gut reaction that some people have. And like I said, I react from my gut, but I also have to keep my emotions in check too, because that's just being aware of yourself and knowing, this is an emotional reaction and this is, what's really happening. And then to be able to decipher between the two and make a rational decision is very important.
Yeah. Well, and I try to live by some major core values in my life, and one of them actually was talking about this with Eric Bunge recently from Habitat for Humanity, and it's the idea of live as though others are more important than yourself. Giving people the time, the care, and the love, because we spend a lot of time, glorifying ourselves and selfing ourselves and all this stuff, but you're getting to see the world in a way that's different because you're literally making other people's businesses more important than your own all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to see the beauty and the response to that. I mean, even to the point where I'm more than grateful for you because I got home, I'm exhausted from the long day. Yesterday we got to do our ceremony here, and you had all over the place, great music videos and cool little edits and all this stuff, and I was just blown away. I was so grateful for you being there for us to make us feel special for our day.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, and it was my pleasure.
Yeah, and I can tell you that is a sentiment our whole branch shares. I got a chance to really get down in the nitty-gritty with my branch manager, Jonathan Farrell, and talk about a few things from yesterday and all the things that went on, and he just got to see everything, and he was sharing everything I was sharing. So basically, I shared yours, and he shared mine.
Love it.
But everything that we were looking at and just seeing the community that you guys helped bring to us and that came yesterday to support us, it's irreplaceable, invaluable. I could go all day on it,
Oh, I love that.
So thank you so much for what you do and for how you manifested it for us.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure. And I don't know if you know too, but my journey from where I am today and what you were saying with how I'm a business owner and then I also do the marketing for other businesses and having both sides of the coin, I actually was a member before I was a staff member.
I didn't know that.
So I was a member with Birdside.
Okay.
And started as a member. Then COVID happened and everything went virtual. And then I was like, you know what? I really like the chamber. I'm going to become an ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from member to ambassador. And then Brooke recruited me at the beginning of the year. And she was like, hey, I think you'd be a good fit for this position that we have. And so the stars aligned. Mm-hmm. Birdseye was already planning on expanding our team, and we did. Mm-hmm. And she came at me at the right time. And so that's been my journey from member to ambassador to staff member and just developing in that way and being in the community. And I love learning new things about people and things. And once I understand how something works, I will never look at it the same again. Yeah. And immediately when I walked into the chamber, when we joined, I just felt like I belonged there. And that's just not me saying that. I was like, I just feel really comfortable in here. And I don't know if this sounds weird or not, but the office that was my first office when I first started there, even before I was an ambassador, I was a member, and I'd walk through the office like trying to find the bathroom or the kitchen. I don't know what it was, but I was drawn to that office, and it was dark and it was full of storage stuff and nobody was in there, but I was like, I just kept gravitating towards it.
But you saw a home.
I guess so. I had a little psychic glimpse of the future. Like, maybe you'll be here. And it just worked out.
Well, two major shout outs in all that story is one, shout out to your tremendous need to always be doing more and have a vivacious way to live life. And two, for Brooke for being able to spot talent from a mile away. Not that it's hard to find in you, but for her to be able to immediately just be like, yeah, this is a missing piece. Clearly it was, because this is the other thing too, and I feel like I'm just giving you nods all the time. It's not just because you're on the air, I promise. This is all stuff that I would say to you outside of a podcast. But I've talked to so many people now. You know how involved I've been with the chamber and everything, and even the small time we've been in it. Everyone talks about consistently what a game changer the social media has been since you took over. And I mean that wholeheartedly. They speak specifically of you, because it wasn't that social media was bad before. I'm not knocking anybody who did it before. It just means that this was your niche. You were the missing link to the puzzle for this. and you know, Brooke helped put it in. You stepped into it, and it was rocking. And honestly, I mean, I can tell you what a big deal that means to an establishment, because Willie and I were, my partner in crime, we were having breakfast this morning, and we actually brought up James for that reason. James, our marketing director, who's never in front of the camera, he was our missing piece for this organization as well. I mean, we were like, man, Johnny found the right guy at the right time. Literally was at a family function, saw him put a family video together, and you know, and that's what you do. Like there's a twinkle in the way that your work comes out. There's a shimmer with the same way that you'd expect with somebody's smile, and it comes out with your work in a great joyous way.
Thank
and
you.
so we're very appreciative for the way that you represent our city, that represent our businesses, and the way that you're always just kind of moving around and blessing the world around you.
Thank you so much, John, and thank you guys for doing so much for the community. And I always think it's funny because whenever we have an event, I just expect you guys to be there now.
I love it. That is probably the best compliment I've gotten for our business in a long time, that people expect us to be part of the City of Temecula's events. That is fantastic.
Oh yeah, City of Temecula, Chamber of Commerce. I mean, we do so much with the city and everything, but it's I don't know if you noticed, but I was the one who wrote on your whiteboard out there.
I didn't know that was you. I was wondering who that was.
I was like, they show up every time.
I was wondering who wrote that one.
I
That
did
is
it.
fantastic. I love it. Thank you.
And then with my left hand, no,
Hey,
I wrote they care.
Oh, that was both of you?
I was trying to be sneaky, but I'm telling on myself.
You know what's funny is we thought that was James's daughter Bella,
Oh.
because she likes to write and stuff on the boards. It's actually not that we love Bella. We were okay with her writing it, but it's actually really cool that it came from you.
Thanks.
Super cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for the shout out. We appreciate that. And honestly, I mean, I know you probably feel similarly in the way that you give, but for us, it doesn't feel like we've done anything. Like, we're literally just reciprocating what we feel has been given to us. And so it's a way of living with gratitude.
It's a huge pay it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really think that, you know, again, it's that whole treating others more than important to yourself, being thankful for what you have, being blessed with the life that you've been given, and showing others how to have that life is phenomenal. And that's why we really aligned with the Chamber of Temecula, because it's hard to find that in a business structure nowadays. And to see a chamber that actually motivates people to do that is fantastic.
Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to wrap up this particular episode, and I say particular because we're going to have her back. You can't have somebody this interesting in here and not have her back at least one more time. Probably going to be at least 2-3 more times. Anyway, so I'm going to do what I always do because I like to do this, and it makes no sense because James never puts anything there, so I just look like a crazy person, but it's okay. Actually, I think you have put it a few times. I'm just being sarcastic. But essentially, I like to do this because then he has to put little links up there for what's important and basically where to click. But if you're watching it on YouTube, he already had all kinds of handles and things popping up as we were speaking. There's going to be all kinds of links on basically every major form that we cover. We cover Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the major stuff for podcasts. And I got to tell you guys, if you were just starting with our podcast, you started with a really special one because Megan is a phenomenal human being. We loved having her in the office with us, and she will be back. But I can guarantee you, take time to look up all the websites, all the people she mentioned, all the businesses that she talked about, all the events that are coming up. It is worth your while. I went in tentatively into the chamber, and I have entered wholeheartedly, just 100% grateful that we're there. And I can tell you, after yesterday, there isn't a person in this office who isn't extremely grateful for what the chamber can provide for small businesses and for shouting out. It is everything that we try to accomplish with this podcast, but done with a lot more resources. So we're grateful for you guys. Megan, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, John. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys soon.